Okay, so when I ran into my guy Chris Gehringer at NAMM, he told me he teamed up with the crew at Make Believe Studios and MetricHalo to create a plugin. I knew right away it was going to be something special. If you don't know who Chris Gehringer is, he's one of the most respected mastering engineers in the game and works at the famous Sterling Sound Studios in New Jersey. I first went to Sterling 15 plus years ago when it was in New York, and I was blown away at what an amazing studio it was and what a nice guy Chris was. Since then, when I'm only mixing and the label has the budget, I always say get Chris, because I know it's always going to come back dope. That being said, let's check out this plugin and make sure to wait till the end when I'll compare it to FabFilter, which is one of my favorite limiters for making things loud. All right, so first and foremost, this plugin is super duper simple. It has two big knobs really, density and loudness. Density is used to bring up low-level information, which will bring you what you would think, more density. And loudness does exactly what you think it does. It makes things louder. One thing to note, while this plugin will get things louder, it was intended to get loud mixes louder in the mastering stage, which happens a lot because a lot of times producers or mixing engineers are already sending the songs to Chris super loud. So this was intended to take loud songs already and make them bigger, but as we'll use it today, we're going to use it as our main limiter. Next to the knobs, you have these buttons. First is the filter. It's a DC offset filter to get rid of subharmonics. Then is a true peak button, which does what it says it does. Now, one thing to note, when you click this true peak, these three buttons become your limiter's threshold and not the output, which is what they are now. If you don't have true peak, these are your output. So you have 0, which I don't really suggest, 0.1, which is what I usually use on my limiter, and then -1. This -1 is interesting because sometimes I've found if you are putting a track onto, like for instance, Instagram, -1 output sounds better than -0.1. Try it out. Let me know what you think. And then finally, you have a bypass. Up above, you have this meter, which is the LUFS meter. And then you can click this button and get different settings for the actual meter. And it's pretty cool how they did it with these little valves here. And then lastly, there's this little gear on, which has dither, which is nice to have built into the plugin. All right, so let's check this thing out. We are using a song from my friend Trip Carter. If you watch my channel, you've heard it before. I am putting track control before it, which is just a gain plugin, adding 2.3 dB to it. Why? Because as I said, this is more intended to be used after a limiter. And we're using it just as a limiter today. But in order to get this thing loud enough to reach, -8 or -9 LUFS, it needs to be a loud track already. So I gave it a couple extra dBs just so we could push it a bit more. So let's play it and just listen to this density control and see what that does.
I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me, you know it's on me. I put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you.
All right, so as you notice, it did get a little bit louder, but it also just felt a little bit bigger. It sounded more like a record almost. And that density, what it's doing, is bringing up some of the low-level information so that it sticks out more and it just feels bigger altogether. So really cool to have that knob in there. Now let's bring up the loudness a bit and just see how loud we can get this.
By myself, I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me, you know it's on me. I put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me.
All right, so obviously by turning loudness up, it got louder. We got around -9 LUFS, and I don't feel like we lost transient or anything. It still sounds good, and I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, yeah, it sounds better because it's louder. Well, we're going to check that out right now. Let's bring up A-B, and we'll gain match this, and then go A and B and see, the difference without loudness.
Put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me, you know it's on me. I put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me, you know it's on me.
Okay, so it definitely sounds bigger. I feel like we've lost a little bit of the character from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this CG back up. And let's bring this density back down to about here and see what it sounds like.
Put put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you. And you hold it for me. You know it's shorty. I put my weight all on you. I can't bear it by myself. I put my weight all on you. And you.
All right, so that sounds better to me. Pulling that density back gave us back some of the dynamics of the track. And now to me, it feels a bit better with the CG2 than it does without. All right, so now let's compare this to the FabFilter Pro L2. What I've done is I got these two tracks set up. I have the CG2 here, and that's the settings for that. And then the Pro L2, and that's the settings for that. I exported these. They are the exact same LUFs, so there should not be any sort of difference in level. They should be the exact same level. And I'm just gonna play a loop of this because I always find with limiters, it's best to just use a loop. That way you can hear what's happening a bit better. So we'll play the CG2, and then when you see this, I'll click to the FabFilter. Obviously the plugin will come up when I switch. Let's go. Take a listen to the snare drum. Just listen on that snare, and you'll just hear it blooms quite a bit better with the CG2. It sounds a little bit duller with the FabFilter. Just a little bit, but check it out. So to me, that's what the density is doing. It's bringing that little low-level stuff like the reverb tail out, and to me makes the song sound a bit better. I think they're both doing a great job making the song louder. I don't hear a huge difference between the overall loudness and you know, killing the dynamics of the snare or anything like that, but I do like what the density does to the CG2 version. All right, so that's a full review of the CG2. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it gonna replace your limiter? I don't know if it will replace my limiter, but I definitely think it's going to be going on after my limiter from now on, because I always like to do dual stages of limiting. I find it sounds more natural that way. So this might be my new second limiter. Talk to you guys soon.